And I also don't quite know what Fizz is going to do this game, to be frank. It's like the odd one.
Nothing. The other interesting thing to see, I think, will be whether Howlitzer gets left behind by his team in one sense. Because if they all dash away from him and he just can't keep up, there's not a lot of Braum can do. Just sort of, they could. I mean, they have so much CC that I doubt it will be a problem. But IA could end up putting themselves in 4v5 situations in theory, just because of how much more mobile the rest of their champions are. I doubt it will be an issue, but it's early days in the league. Communication's still not perfect.
Yeah, those issues you listed with the Fizz, it's part of a reason why I just believe that if he doesn't get some kind of ridiculous early game lead, then mid lane is not going to play a huge part for RIPSQUAD in this game. And so much is resting on the bot lane, I feel like. Shen probably not looking to win his lane. He's probably going to be relevant much later into the game. Trundle is just basically a stat checker most of the time, that also provides some utility with his pillar. So Jinx, Alistar, how they play this game is probably going to be the decider ultimately, because IA's comp, like we mentioned before multiple times, is very synergistic. It's clear that they just want to team fight, they want to engage, and RIPSQUAD will have to be ready when that comes.
I also don't think it's that difficult a comp to execute on, because it pretty much is, does not have rage, yes or no, okay, we can look to engage with all our different engage tools. And then just sort of go in and just chain CC until you win the fight. So what we did see was I actually ran straight into the enemy's bot side jungle to get some vision. So they know that Trundle's starting topside here, which is important. I'm not entirely sure how the Trundle Rek'Sai matchup goes early, because obviously Trundle steals AD with his Q, but Rek'Sai is known for that early power, so I'm not sure which way that goes in terms of who wins the straight up 1v1. So we'll have to see when they encounter each other as to what happens there. Both junglers, I think, are doing a full clear. No. Guard skipping his wolves here, so it looks like it is just a buff Gromp game. And then we'll see what happens though, because bot lane appears to be pushing in, and so does mid lane. So we'll have to see what happens in terms of actually looking for opportunities. It's possible they'll go for the invade though, and the Braum might walk with guard here and go and see what they can find in the enemy bot side jungle, given that they know that Fanxi didn't start it.
Yeah, I think the invade would be a preferable course of action if they actually want to do that, because there's no gank opportunity right now, and Trundle will probably be at his blue once Rek'Sai finishes, that part of the jungle, and now she's moving towards the bottom side. No gank choice to be made here, so I wonder what the next move will be. It looks like they are moving towards that blue.
I think,
but yeah,
there's zero chance of a dive opportunity as well, because it's Alistar. Like, I don't think that anyone in their right mind would go for a dive on a Jinx with an Alistar next to them. So it appears that Rek'Sai's just chilling, securing Scuttle. Braum had a brief look in the jungle, and I think saw Fanxi there, but nothing particularly interesting going on.
Yeah, that W providing so much denial for the Vex against the Fizz. We saw that big trade just a few seconds ago, and it did not go in Fizz's favor. It feels like Fizz really has to be creative with the ways he chooses to engage in order to actually do something in the early game.
Fizz's E is quite a long cooldown though, and although Vex passive is quite long cooldown as well, every time Fizz dashes is gonna, and Vex gets an auto off, it's gonna reduce that cooldown again. And yeah, it's just the rinse and repeat. Just press W and fire off your spells and chill. Fizz has to E away.
Trundle though. This will be the first gank of the game. Fizz coming in. Not a lot of health though. Tumbleard's still forced to flash away. Doesn't want to have any of that attention.
Yeah, they did not know that Fanxi would be topside there, which I feel like is definitely surprising. I feel like they had the information for that, given that they saw that Fanxi was bot side and clearing, didn't interrupt him, and that was quite a few minutes ago. So they could have feasibly been like, well, he's not going to spend 6 years bot side, so he must be topside, and then Tablar just disrespecting that potential for the Trundle to be there. But on the bright side, he burns his flash, but he didn't have to immediately back, given how low Winter was. There was no real risk of the Fizz going in, I don't believe.
Now Gardas spots the fact that his Gromp is down, and they know that Trundle is still around, so that means Blaziken has to back up a little bit. And that also means that bot lane is mostly just going to stay silent for now. Obviously, Kai'Sa Braum, this can be a very aggressive lane if they want to, but right now we're just taking it slow.
I think the Alistar's hesitant to go in first, use all his CC, and then be vulnerable to just being CC'd down by Braum passive, and just absolutely chunked out, especially where he doesn't have his ult yet. That's definitely a difficult lane to engage for the Alistar and then come out with a winning trade. And then on the flip side, Braum's engages are definitely not as smooth as Alistar's, since he's, I feel like, more of a peeling support.
Oh, here comes a Fizz ultimate, but Winter does not have mana anymore. He's still going in. He's ignited by the Vex. The Q is going to land first blood for Iverngers Assemble, but Fanxy's on the scene. He's looking to finish off that kill. The Fear lands onto Fanxy though from the Vex passive, and they turn that around. It's a 2-for-0 for Iverngers Assemble. Tubbelard was dead to rights, but then he just gets that passive in the nick of time, and they rotate towards the dragon immediately.
Yeah, there was just enough time there stalled with that passive for Rek'Sai to just flash in, take out CC Fanxy, and prevent Tubbelard going down, which is really, really good there. There's 2 kills already for them, and the dragon secured. And, you know, no one died for it. They just got away with murder, pretty much. That's it.
Yeah, it really does feel like if Fizz had mana for one more ability, this would have been just completely different. But yeah, after he used that ultimate, he really had no gas left in the tank. It was just Fanxy trying to kill the Vex. At the end, it wasn't enough, and IA get the first move in the early game. We get the first dragon. They're looking good once more. Could be a repeat gank though. Tubbs still without his flash, but very nice W from him.
Yeah,
Middle East coming in with a flash, it still doesn't get anything.
Yeah, they're really trying to spend a lot of attention towards this mid lane, trying to set him behind, but he is just proving that time and time again, you can try and gank Vex, but Vex just walks away. And it's really, really working out for them here, especially with all the time they're wasting. Meanwhile, Blaze is building a lead top with Gnar. He's got a 23 farm lead against this Shen. This Shen is not having a fun time at all. And while he's got 6 now and can look to roam, which has been strengthened by the TP changes coming in this patch, it obviously isn't exactly ideal to have your Shen not in a strong position here against the Gnar side lane. So I'm surprised the Trundle hasn't been up there to try and punish this Gnar at all. But then I guess with the hop out, it's always going to be a difficult lane to gank, regardless. Meanwhile, bot lane's just chilling. They're just even on farm. They're just handshaking this lane, saying, "Yep, I'll scale on Kai'Sa, you scale on Jinx. We'll see what our teams do."
Big damage once again from Tubbelard. Winter trying to find openings, but every time he goes in, the trade does not go in his favor. This is really problematic so far for the Fizz. And also, it feels like Fanxy's struggling to look for openings when it comes to these ganks. He got one opening mid, but then didn't result in anything. But as I say that, Winter is just going to get solo killed by Tubbelard. Meanwhile, RIPSQUAD doing Rift Herald, and Gardevoir is going to get killed by the opposing jungler. RIPSQUAD give the Herald as well, so there is some activity from them here in the early game. They strike back against IA, and they're going to spawn the Rift Herald mid as well, at least from what it looks like. That's a very early Herald to spawn.
I think that's probably more accidental than intentional.
Yeah, I can't think this is intentional.
No, getting 2 plates, sure, fine, but there's, 5 minutes till plates run out. There's no real reason to be using it with such urgency. And it's not like the gold even went to the Fizz, so it's not trying to get Fizz back into the laning phase either. And I think they've just got a really rough matchup mid. But the other interesting point to make, though, is that Fanxy's already winning that 1v1 versus Guard, and Rek'Sai falls off. And given that Rek'Sai's not getting anything done this game compared to the last game IA played, we're going to have to see how Cannon Minion Rek'Sai impacts this team fight, and impacts the team fights later on in the game. If he's not being able to build a lead early in the game, it's going to really need to be down to it's looking like the Gnar and the Vex to be making those engages, being the powerful and strong members of their team. And then hopefully Kai'Sa can follow up. And I suspect this Rek'Sai is more going to fulfill the role of just being a knockup bot, and that's about it.
Yeah, if everything else fails, at least Rek'Sai has a knockup that Kai'Sa can follow up on. But yeah, Trundle right now with lethal tempo, he's going to be winning those 1v1s against Rek'Sai for the most part. Rek'Sai is just upfront damage. If she's not ahead enough against that Trundle, then the trades will just go either the other way.
Yeah,
Winter has to use E defensively. Like, yeah, this matchup just continues to edge towards the Vex. And we're going to get the Dragon spawn in...
You can see there's a 1k gold lead in mid lane right now. So that's pretty much the entire gold lead made up for in mid, and then I'm assuming there's also a top lane gold lead for Blaze. Meanwhile, Fantasy's gold lead in mid, in jungle is... Okay, so there's a 1k top, 1k mid, and 1k jungle difference in gold. So, but the thing is that obviously 2 of those leads are on for blue side for IA, so they're pulling ahead by 1k in total. See the dragon spawning here, and
Maxi uses the pillar well, but Tubbelard has his flashback up. But now...
Yes.
RIPSQUAD's starting the Drake with 3 people, whereas IA already has 4 available. Winter's rotating as well. Now, what can RIPSQUAD do with this dragon positioning? And can IA actually engage on top of this? Oh, the dragon resets. That could potentially be huge. IA could have the window right now. They're going in. Rek'Sai for the steal, doesn't get it. Tubbelard into the fight. They're trying to burst down at least one member, but they're focusing the Alistar, which means RIPSQUAD is winning the fight. It's 2 kills already. Braum falls next. Then the Kai'Sa. Double kill for the Fizz. He's finally back in the game. And that is a very good team fight for RIPSQUAD, and potentially some suspicious team fight management from Iverngers Assemble on the other side.
I mean, I'm not really sure what the IA were going for there really, because the thing is that they've got the Shen in top lane. Yes, he's losing something top, but the teleport changes are in. Gnar can't join the fight at all. So, you know, best case scenario, you're fighting a 4v5. And then on top of that, the other issue was that the RIPSQUAD already had control of the river. They were already in there, and as you can see, there's virtually no vision. There's obviously some vision. They managed to get in the pit itself, but they were just sort of pushing in blind. And again, the RIPSQUAD didn't have vision of them really, I don't believe. Not good vision control, but they had an idea. But they were already in the pit. They didn't need to be taking the initiative in that fight, and they could just focus down that dragon and know that if we get sticky...
Blaze going for the 1v1. He hits the wallop. One more auto, and Dragon Line will be dead. Blaziken gets that kill, but Fanxi is quick to answer, and that's a 1-for-1 in the end. But you have to wonder how much Shen can realistically... how much suffering can Shen realistically take in that top lane. The CS difference is so massive. Now IA going in once more. Middle East in a compromised position. He's going to fall next. Gardevoir gets that kill. What a nice knock-up as well, but actually the tower focused him, so Gardevoir's going to fall there, and Fizz actually gets away with a nice playful trickster. So it is another 1-for-1 trade in the end. Tubbelard fires off that ultimate, but Fizz gets to dodge it again.
Yeah, and it's clear that like IA are clearly quite strong in the individual fights and things and the skirmishes here and there, but they were just taking that clearly disadvantageous situation for the sake of a second dragon, which just makes no sense to me at all. They've thrown away their 1k gold lead and now it's 1k in the other direction, which is really, really not helpful for them. One maybe saving grace is the fact that a lot of those kills went onto the Fizz, which as we've seen so far has been really, really neutralized by that Vex. So it's going to be difficult to see whether Winter, and we'll have to see whether Winter can actually use that gold to his team's advantage to extend his lead and enable his other teammates. But I think if Tubalard continues to keep doing what he's doing, Fizz jumps in, he presses W, we're not going to see a lot of that, to be honest. So it maybe actually saves IA there that Fizz picked up a few of those kills.
Yeah, a lot of it does seem to depend on how chaotic the fights are, but never mind that, we're getting another potential skirmish here as Middle East is getting focused. He pops Unbreakable Will, so he's not going to get bursted down. And that's going to be the end of that.
Yeah, Chenault was just coming up as that fight was going on, but Gnar was Mega, and then by the time Gnar went Mini, the fight was over. But I was just looking there because there was a risk there that obviously Dragonline joins that fight, and again, any pick that they were going for on the side of IA just gets neutralized and they might even get turned on. So, a little bit risky, but they got away with it. Okay, so we can see Shen's pushing in top here while Blaze is just looking for a little bit of a roam in the top side. Not really finding anything, just heading back, just chilling. But it's good to see him moving about the map, not just staying in his lane all the time when he doesn't need to be. That's always valuable. Just getting a little bit of information. Okay, the jungler's not in river. It still adds something. But now we can see actually that Fanxy's moved on to the Herald and looks to be going for that. Meanwhile, Guard's bot side on Vision, not getting a lot done. Blaze here though is in Mega and is pushing up a little bit, but he's not going too far, so I'm assuming they're aware that... Oh, okay. Got a pause, and apparently it's a Sky differential, so it is what it is. It's PDiff. We'll see how long this pause lasts. Yeah, no, so we saw that Blaze was clearly respecting the fact, and I think they had Scuttle Vision, so I think they knew that Banksy's on that. I can't tell, though, whether that's actually just a normal ward in the river topside, and whether that's actually being cancelled by the control ward in the Pixel Brush, meaning that Banksy's trying to sneak this Herald. Not entirely sure on that front. But meanwhile, they know Rek'Sai's bot, so it's not like there's a lot they can do anyway to stop that. Unless they obviously rotate really fast. So you can see there's 41 seconds until dragon spawning. Yeah, okay, I think I've been getting... yeah, there we go. There's production signaling the dragon spawning scenes. I think they want us to talk about that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and it's important that IA actually gets them set up right this time. They were late to the second dragon, which meant that, the team fight, when it came, it was not very well coordinated from them. It was a little bit all over the place. Gardevoir was actually going for the steal on the dragon, whereas his team was engaging, and they're also not really perfect when it comes to target selection, so we'd like to see some improvements there for the next dragon, especially, considering that this team is, we talked about this before. It's just a very good team fight comp, and they would like to play towards that a little bit.
So one key difference I think for this dragon fight is the fact that while yes, Chenault is up, that Shen's TP is down. The thing is, we've just seen Gnar go Mega. So Gnar has, I believe it's 15 seconds where he's exhausted and cannot generate rage. But then after that, I'd really like to see Blaze generating his rage as fast as he can, because he's now got that unleashed teleport, so he can actually come and join his team for this dragon. But I suspect he'd have to do so with his TP rather than walking down, because he needs to have that rage generated and the rage bar nearly full for when the team fight erupts. So, and I think if he spent the time walking down now or getting his reset off, it's going to be pretty difficult. It's going to be pretty difficult for him to have that rage bar filled and be there on time without burning that TP, I do believe. Other than that, we can see that Tubalard's flash is almost back up as well. I expect he'll be back up in time for the dragon, so that shouldn't be a problem. So I doubt he's going to have a problem with getting flashed on. Kaisar, I believe, should be up shortly after the dragon spawns. So again, that'll be up. So I think it's has the potential to be like a full-on 5v5 for this dragon, so we'll have to see what they go for. The other option, of course, is that Blaze opts to stay top lane where he's bullying this Shen. And if the Shen decides to stay top as well, then it's possible that Blaze will generate his Rage Bar and just use it to cancel the Shen ult. That's also another option. Lock the Shen up top lane with him and don't let him rotate. I don't know, there's quite a few things here. The other thing is how much gold they're all sat on. Because trying to
I
see.
believe Vex has just purchased Everfrost.
Okay. That probably looks about right. I'm wondering whether Fanksy's sat on gold and that kind of thing. Because if he needs to do a reset after this Herald, that could also prove a problem. Because RIPSQUAD haven't got any sort of setup, or they're not on this objective early, other than that one control ward in the bush in Botside River. So there's the fact that actually I have the initiative on this dragon as of right this moment. So we'll have to see how it pans out.
Yeah. IA has the initiative, but at the same time, that Gnar is still topside, and I feel like they are still quite dependent on that engage to come in from the Gnar. If they want the fight to start on their terms. So we'll see what Gnar does here.
Yeah,
40 seconds to a dragon.
Yeah, and that's sort of why I was trying to allude to that earlier. I think it's just really important what Blaze does here, and makes sure he makes use of these next 40 seconds to get what he needs to do done to make this dragon a possibility for his team.
Okay, we're back into the game, and it does look like Gnar is just going to lock up Shen in the top lane, and we already see the amount of damage that he's inflicting onto the Shen. Rage Bar's building back up, slowly but surely. He already has that Divine Sunderer completed, which means that his damage is already quite up there against the Shen, who doesn't have much in his inventory right now. He's mostly just playing defensively, looking to survive for as long as possible inside of that lane.
Okay.
Oh,
so
Banksy face checks into the Rek'Sai, and it could be a dead Trundle here. Oh, just barely survives. Not enough damage from the Rek'Sai, and Tumbleard now in trouble. This could be another dragon going the way of RIPSQUAD right now. Gnar already in Mega. Will not TP towards that fight. So it's just going to be RIPSQUAD with the advantage, but now Blaziken, on the other hand, he's just soloing Drug Online in the top lane. So well played there, but it's now RIPSQUAD engaging once again in the bottom side jungle and getting another kill to their name. Oh, but the kill of Vanilla, he's just auto-attacking. He was not aware of the Jinx's positioning, and he pays the ultimate price as well. RIPSQUAD has mid priority. We're doing the jungle. We're doing the dragon as well. It's all going very well for them right now, aside from that top lane turret going down.
I think I think they actually got quite a lot of value out of that Fizz ult there, because Tumbleard and Guard just both used their full burst combo, tried to one-shot the Trundle. The Trundle just about survives using his ult, and then all of a sudden that Fizz ult is on them. It will kill Rek'Sai if he doesn't get away, and he just can't escape, and that pressure as well just really helps out. And then on top of that, the fact that Blaze just doesn't choose to join his team for another team fight. As you said, like, they kind of at the moment probably live and die by the fact of whether Blaze joins them or not, and whether he's going to enable them to get an engage that properly locks down the enemy team. And instead he chose to use it selfishly to get the tower top and kill the Shen again. And I'm really not sure of how valuable that was versus the TP down.
Knock up onto the Shen, he taunts away, so there's going to be no follow-up there. I feel like... Oh, never mind, we're going back in. Blaziken wants to fight here, but here comes Middle East from the flank, and it's 2 versus 3 right now. Outlaw also following up on this play. Gardevoir has to flash, but he has nowhere to run to. Blaziken will be the next one to fall. Surely he cannot beat 4 members of RIPSQUAD. And that's going to be a kill donated to the Shen, in fact. He kind of needs it as well, I guess. Now Ripwinter may be in a little bit of trouble. Maybe IA is feeling themselves on this dive, but it's the Fizz who's going in! And look at the damage! Kai'Sa just disappears where she stood! and now Braum is in danger. He's going to fall again, potentially. Rip Winter is not stopping here. He's going to dive the turret. Another playful trickster dominating from Rip Winter, previously known as Luke Caruana. What a comeback on this Fizz. The laning phase was not what he wanted, but now the mid game is all his.
Yeah, it's really showing off actually that Fizz pick, which we were not sure about in the early game, and did not look great, but he's pulling it off. In fairness though, there, the Kai'Sa didn't ult. The Kai'Sa, I'm pretty sure, had ult up, or it came up like a second after she died, maybe. But the Kai'Sa had ult there, and I'm certain she could have got an auto on Fizz, and didn't use it for the shield, which I'm quite surprised about, because maybe that was the difference between her living and dying. I'm not sure, but if she lives through Fizz's initial burst combo, possibly they can get the Braum stun, Braum ult off, and just run away back to the tower, and maybe get to safety. Who knows? But I think it's still probably likely they died, but it would have forced Fizz to maybe pop an ignite as well. There, he's just not used his ignite at all, and his ult's very little commitment. It's not got a long cooldown, especially level 11 and onwards.
Uh-oh, Winter has to be careful here. Prowler's Claw into the knockup. They're trying to focus him down, but the Zhonya's Hourglass dodges a lot of cooldowns, and he actually stays alive for now. And look at Fanxi and his damage and his tankiness. Absolutely unkillable on the front line. And RIPSQUAD just continues to mow down Iverngers Assemble with their stronger front line. We see the difference between the Rek'Sai and the Trundle right now. Trundle's so farmed up, already level 13. Already Titanic Hydra completed. Rek'Sai has fallen off the map completely, and Iverngers Assemble are not doing these coordinated team fights that we were talking about, so they just keep losing fights.
Yeah, and again there, the Shen ult comes through, which just helps out, makes them all join together. Shen was able to be putting pressure bot, and then all of a sudden join the fight. But he equally could have chosen to get that tower there, but they might have lost the Fizz. And Fizz has always been that sort of champion with the identity of where he's just a menace. If he's ahead, because he has so much stalling power with his E, with Zhonya's that he almost always builds. It's just an absolute menace. And Winter's choice to go the Zhonya's, I think before he even completed his Leandries, it looked like, actually served him really well, because he can just face check like that, and if the enemy team thinks they can focus him down and kill him first, they are gravely mistaken, and it gave his team plenty of time to come in and clean up after all their cooldowns have been blown.
Yeah, so, Zhonya's Hourglass, it's such a valuable item on this champion, plus all the ability haste that he has. Aside from that Zhonya's, he basically uses Playful Trickster first, dodges some cooldowns with that, then once it's on cooldown, he presses Zhonya's, waits for his Playful Trickster to be back up again, and that's how he basically avoids all the focus from the enemy team. IA tried to burst him down, but the timing is very strict, and if you don't have enough damage, he's just going to walk away. And then, basically, you don't get the kill, and you're potentially on the back foot at the start of the fight. And now, RIPSQUAD just getting the Infernal Dragon for free. They're at soul point once this is done. And they're looking... Yeah, it's all looking peachy right now for RIPSQUAD.
Yeah, they have Baron, they're at soul point. I'm hesitant to say that they have a way back into this game, because Rek'Sai is a cannon minion, Kai'Sa's behind and not going for the mid-game spiking build, going for the full scaling crit build, which does not spike until quite a bit later, I do believe. And also I'd argue it's just harder to play and cannot build Zhonya's either. For that Fizz interaction means that really...
Winter going in, that Ignite is going to burn down the Vex. Zhonya's Hourglass, but Playful Trickster wasn't even needed. Rip Winter just gets that solo kill in the side lane, and he continues to push forward while RIPSQUAD is still busy with that push in the mid lane. But it doesn't look like IA has a way to go forward right now with Vanar not having that transformation. They're kind of sitting ducks, just watching as their inhibitor turret falls down, but now RIPSQUAD with a re-engage. Rek'Sai going to fall once again. Fanxi Legendary on that Trundle, absolutely untouchable. He's just going to dive both Nexus turrets, does not care. Okay, now he cares because he's looking at a gray screen, but it doesn't feel like it matters for RIPSQUAD. Okay, maybe now it matters a little bit. You guys
They just
Probably,
disrespected the Gnar.
yeah, a little bit too eager on that front, but it doesn't change the fact that RIPSQUAD have taken the inhibitor. Now, though, IA would be re-engaged, but the Vex just evaporated in 1 second.
That looked like a bit of a tilt play. Just try and kill Outlaw, kill your IRL friend, take him out. Just because I feel like they know the game's going to be pretty difficult to win from this position. I feel like the only reason that they even lost their Trundle and Shen there was just blatant disrespect to the Gnar. That is it. You know, they probably could have closed it out there or gotten a tower. And instead they just hard greeted for kills. So
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it did feel like for fun gaming there. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say before that whole fight broke out, though, that realistically, it is just the Gnar and the Vex that are still relevant. Because Kaiser's just not scaled and is very behind in all categories: kills, farms, assists, more deaths. Was behind in XP as well by 3 levels. Man, that's actually quite a big disadvantage. And then, you know, Braum's behind as well. They're all just going to melt. So I just don't see a way back into this game for them, because it's not like Vex has absolutely insane outplay potential with the long cooldowns compared to a whole enemy team. You know, if you focus a Vex down, she will die eventually. It might be a bit of a painful death, but you will get her. So just a matter of respecting the Gnar and just closing the game out, I feel like.
Yeah, it just feels like these fights are always just going to go one way because of the difference between front lines. With Trundle having free items while Rek'Sai's still trying to finish that Sterak's on a shoestring budget. With Trundle is just going to steal your Gnar's stats as well, so he's even more tanky. It really feels like no one can deal with the troll. The Pillar Man, the fabled Pillar Man, has come once again to terrorize UNL. And yeah, the front line, but also the back line, Jinx is in a very good spot. Fizz is obviously popping off here. Basically, went to base, finished the Lich Bane outright, didn't even need to buy the components, just give me the full item, shopkeeper. I saved up for this. I got all my savings, I got all my pocket money. I can buy this.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough, and he's not greeding for that Medjai's. I think he knows he's probably going to go for another bait like he did before in River. So just not upgrading to that Medjai's probably makes a lot of sense. And he's gone for the double stopwatch scumbaggery. So this Fierce is a criminal and will just stopwatch twice. Zonya's and then stopwatch.
As if he wasn't slippery enough, he buys the second stopwatch just to put some salt in the wound there.
Yeah,
RIPSQUAD are just going to finish the Infernal Dragon completely unopposed. It's going to be the Infernal Soul, and after that, we're just most likely going to see the conclusion of this game, because the disparity between these teams is just too much.
It would take... I'm trying to think what it would take. I think it would take their enemy... The thing is, Trundle just... I'm pretty sure just 2v... Like, if Trundle and Shen are together, or Trundle and Alistair, they probably 2v3, 2v4. So, it would probably take them just watching Fizz and Jinx die on their own for them to lose this game. Because I'm pretty sure they can just die in a fight and they still win. Especially with the Baron and the Soul. It's just... incredibly over. There's like a 12,500 gold lead. There should be no way back into this game. If they had a way back into this game at 12,500 gold difference, I would call them broken.
Yeah, unfortunately, the scaling component is not on their side right now.
No, they disrespect the potential.
Blaziken is going in for the last hurrah team fight, but he only brings back in the support Alistair, which means the team fight cannot possibly go their way, but now the burst damage is coming in, and all the members of Iverngers assemble, just falling one by one. Tubbleard, the last one standing, but he's going to be standing for one more second before he falls as well. All the stopwatches going off. RIPSQUAD, only the Nexus in their way. They're going to secure their first win of the season. Iverngers assemble. They stomped in the first game. Now, they were the ones that got stomped, unfortunately. Sometimes that's just the way it goes in UNL.